Welcome to Anti-Raggers United. Today we have an AMA with bitBOMB. So let's start you by guys introducing yourselves.
Sure. I'm Aaron Shames. I'm the founder and CEO of the PegHub ecosystem, which is BOMB and its related protocols. So CZ Pegs, bitBOMB, BOMB Money, BUSM, and all supporting protocols.
Yeah, and how many? Yeah. Who else from the team is there?
So
I should have two with me.
Mr. Peg here. I'm project lead on CZ Pegs, so we're keeping those pegs alive.
Diamond here. I'm project lead for bitBOMB. Me and a team of mine, Uncle LS and Use.
Sorry?
Diamond here, project lead for the bitBOMB, as well as BUSM, which is another coin we can talk about later.
Nice. Is that going to be all for your team that's here today?
Yeah, I believe it's just going to be us three.
Cool. Do you guys want to give just a brief background of like your experience in this space and how those experiences can really help you guys to navigate this process of launching a token?
Sure. So I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I'm actually fairly new to crypto. It's probably been about 18 months now. But crypto, like as soon as I learned a little bit about smart contracts, that's when all of everything that I'm really passionate about in life kind of came together for me. Between programming, finances and automation, and just to kind of connected everything that I'm really strong at and passionate about all together. And that's kind of when I just dove right into crypto, and I never looked back, and it's what I'm doing full time, and been doing full time ever since I launched BOMB Money in November of last year. So yeah, I really love crypto, and I love the space, and happy to be here. And I'm going to keep on building no matter what the market does.
Sweet. Have you ever launched any other tokens before?
Prior to BOMB, which launched last November, like I said, I had launched a bunch of stuff just kind of playing around. I like to learn by doing. So I hadn't really done any official launches of any sort, but I was playing around with a lot of things, but BOMB Money was my first serious project.
Sweet. And were any of those projects successful, or like you were just pretty much messing around with contracts and trying to learn how?
Yeah, I was just forking stuff, and I didn't really intend for any of them to really go anywhere. So it was more just a learning process prior to BOMB. So
sweet, cool. Anybody else on your team worked on any other projects or launched any tokens?
Well, they're both project leads of mine, so they're not really on the development side, but they're going to be, managing, all the, an army of guys below them that are going to be, kind of pushing the projects and ensuring their success. So I'm not sure if they want to add anything else.
This is probably my second project. I got into crypto as an investor in 2013, and I was a bit of an idiot because I bought Bitcoin at $90. Sold at 120, and instead of just buying and holding, I actually started a crypto exchange in Australia, and this was back when crypto was very much a gray area. So a lot of large companies were sort of unsure of how to enter the space. So I did really well for about 2 years, and then I couldn't really compete with the big boys coming in. So yeah, this is cool because the big part of this is I'm getting to build a community, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I've only been with the team for probably a month now, but yeah.
Sweet. Well, sorry for your loss, first of all, and congratulations on finding this project to work on. So do you guys want to just give a brief description of your project, and then we can get further into it and break it down as we go along in this AMA?
Sure. So bitBOMB is the evolution of BOMB Money. So I'm probably most people here are familiar with Tomb Finance forks. We started that whole trend with BOMB money. So we were the very first Tomb Finance fork, and thousands followed after us because of BOMB money's early success. So bitBOMB is, like I said, the evolution of BOMB money. So it's taken a lot of the different principles that we applied to CZ Pegs, which was our second, Tomb fork launch, where we implemented a lot of different features and different mechanics in order to be able to have a more stable protocol, give our users more choices, being able to maintain Peg a lot easier, have a more exciting protocol. So a lot of these different changes that we implemented, and we can go into all those changes a bit later. All those different changes that we implemented, we had a big outcry from the community to implement a lot of these changes into the BOMB money protocol. But as most people here would be aware, you can't just change smart contracts after they're deployed, especially core functionality. So we decided to do another launch to relaunch BOMB and put all of our attention into bitBOMB as opposed to the original BOMB money. So now we have 4 different peg choices. We have we can get into some of the differences that we made a bit later, but that's I guess kind of a summary about the project.
So it's a relaunch?
I mean, it's a brand new protocol. It's we're allowing token migration from BOMB money. So I'm not sure if that necessarily qualifies as a relaunch, but it's it is a brand new protocol, and it's bringing additional value to the whole ecosystem, and especially the existing BOMB money holders. But,
yeah, and how so your last community, how did they react to you guys launching this new token? Like, are they on board?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, when we first launched CZ Pegs, and we had a tax on selling under Peg, and that's something that a lot of people at BOMB money really liked. They said, like, this tax is working really great for selling when we're when it's not an ideal time to sell. When you're under Peg, it's not the best time to be selling the Peg tokens. So there was a big outcry, like I said, to implement the tax feature, and we didn't do it right away. I saw how interested people were, and we just decided recently that people really want to see this tax on BOMB money. I like a lot of the other features that we kind of implemented into CZ Peg. So let's launch BOMB all over again as bitBOMB, but let's do it right this time with all these different safeguards and features in place. So I guess it's partially a relaunch, or partially just another evolution of BOMB money. So take that.
So when did you guys launch BOMB money?
That was launched late November of last year. So
and it's been running up until recently, or when did that kind of come to an end?
It's still running, and it will continue to run. So for people to get involved into bitBOMB, they actually need BOMB money assets to get started right out of the gate. So BOMB is actually getting bought up like crazy right now to participate in bitBOMB. And it's going to continue to run. We're not going to go out of our way to stop it. I mean, as much as we could, stop it from being operational, but it still has until November of this year with its BSHARE pool rewards. So we're just going to let that keep running. And, the interest in bitBOMB is, it's going to make BOMB, the OG BOMB, the original BOMB, more healthy anyways. So we'll let it play out, and, all of our attention is going to go into bitBOMB, but anyone that doesn't want to migrate over there, we're not going to force them to. So
okay, so that token's going to be just live trading for forever, pretty much.
Yeah,
like you guys aren't planning. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and I mean, I've always said, right, like, so it's for those familiar with Tomb forks, our BSHARE token in the boardroom is what mints new BOMB tokens, and I've always said BSHARE forever will print new BOMB tokens as long as we're over Peg. So that will continue to be true even after bitBOMB.
Yeah, so I'm not very, I have no idea when it comes to these kind of things with the forks and stuff. Could you explain that to everybody here, and why it makes your project valuable, and why that's going to help, solve a problem out there in this space? Sure.
So, I mean, what got me into the whole seigniorage protocols in the first place was I got involved with Tomb Finance, right? So I was just exploring DeFi, and I saw Tomb Finance on Phantom was just paying so much more than any other option that I had. I didn't mind the phantom exposure. So so basically I just started playing around with Tomb Finance, and so the way that Tomb Finance works, and all of our protocols kind of, not all of them, all of our seniorage like Tomb Fork protocols work in a similar way. So basically we have a boardroom. The boardroom is designed so that when the peg token, so in BOMB Money's case, this was just the BOMB token, which is pegged to Bitcoin. CZ Pegs has 4 different peg tokens, and bitBOMB as well has 4 peg tokens. So basically we have a token that's pegged to Bitcoin, a token that's pegged to Polkadot, pegged to Cosmos, which is the Atom token, and then also pegged to Cardano, which is the ADA token. So those are the 4 pegs that we have on bitBOMB. So essentially when any of the peg prices are over where they're supposed to be, so for example, DOT, if our BitDOT, our token that's pegged to Polkadot, if that's trading at a higher price than the price of Polkadot, that means that it's over peg, meaning that our boardroom will reward all of our stakers in the boardroom with the tokens that we mint in order to increase the supply. And then we have other mechanisms that are in place for when we're below the price that it's supposed to be at. So the whole system is designed to keep the token, in line with the price that it's intended to be at. So for BOMB Money, that's 10,000 to 1 to Bitcoin. So $50,000 Bitcoin would be a $5 BOMB Money token, and that's exactly how bitBOMB works as well. So the BitBTC, which is our Bitcoin peg token on bitBOMB, that's it's pegged to Bitcoin, but it's pegged at a 10,000 to 1 ratio, just to keep the price of our peg token, not quite as high as Bitcoin.
Okay, so so volatility in the market kind of is a bonus for you guys, right? Or no?
The reason that we pegged to Bitcoin in the original BOMB Money protocol was, for the safety of Bitcoin relative to all the other altcoins. And, I saw how much you could earn just by farming with Tomb Finance. And I said, okay, let's deploy this on a bigger network, and let's peg to something that's, perhaps more desirable for people to have, exposure to. And that's why we chose Bitcoin. So the market volatility doesn't, we work well with volatility because we're a peg token. Our pairs don't suffer from a lot of impermanent loss like other tokens. If you wanted exposure to Bitcoin in a farming pair, typically that'd be like maybe a Bitcoin and BNB or Bitcoin and US dollar or something along those lines. So you're gonna suffer a lot of impermanent loss when Bitcoin shoots back up. But since we're pegged to Bitcoin, both Bitcoin in your pair and your BitBTC, they're going to move together as the price of Bitcoin moves. So the peg is only impacted by buys and sells. So our pairs work really well with volatility. Obviously in this market downturn, nothing in DeFi is going to be thriving really, but we're basically helping people build their bags up for when the markets turn around. So that's really what our goal is right now in these market conditions.
Yeah, obviously everybody's banking on Bitcoin to really start picking up and then really moon in the future, right? So that's really going to set you guys up for some success, and it's going to really be this would be the perfect time to launch a project like this, to be honest, right?
Definitely. It's just funny that after we launched our BOMB Money protocol, we just experienced one of the worst quarters in Bitcoin history, but it's not deterring us, and this is when the strong are the ones that make it, and here we are, and we're going to keep building, and we're going to keep releasing features and additions to the ecosystem that our community wants.
Yeah, awesome. Did you guys KYC or docs or anything and do an audit for your first token?
So I'm not sure if we did an official KYC for BOMB Money. I know that I did a KYC for CZ Pegs just recently, but I've been fully doxed right since the beginning. I did a lot of research before I launched BOMB Money, and I knew that, having a strong community was super important, and having trust and faith in the community and the devs and protocol was really key to its success. So, I've even early on in BOMB Money in my AMAs, I was always, fully doxed, and, I'm a strong believer in, being accountable and having the community and your investors' best interests in mind, and making your decisions based on that and not hiding behind some secret identity. So, been doxed since day one, basically.
So I would be able to find your information anywhere? You guys have it on your website or anything like that? Or are you down to just personally dox with me?
Yeah. My name's Aaron Shames, and, I think actually in your promo text, I think there's a link to my LinkedIn.
There we go. That's what I like to hear. And are you the who owns the contract? Like, who owns the wallets for the project?
I'm the one, like I'm the main dev and I'm the CEO, so I pretty much own everything. Or, or a lot of the BOMB contracts are owned by a Gnosis safe that's a multi-sig. But yeah, in terms of having the most control over that would be me.
And it's like a multi-sig wallet for everybody else. Like, does anybody else have access to any of the wallets? Like solo access to the wallets?
No, nobody else.
Cool. All right, that solves a lot of problems in this space, right?
Yeah, and sorry, go ahead.
Go for it.
I was just gonna say that I'm pretty vocal with the community, and I've even done a lot of trades in the past that were clearly like not in my financial best interest, but they were in the best interest of getting the project back to where it needed to be. So it's not, in addition to being doxed, there's also a lot of provable history that my number one concern is my investors and the community and their funds over and above anything else, even my own funds. So I think that's important to put out there.
Yeah. So would you say, like, from whatever money you made from the first project to this project, are you up or down as of right now?
Well, I mean, I'm definitely up, just because of I put a ton of money into BOMB, the original protocol, when its tokens were next to nothing, right? So I took a massive risk myself, but obviously that paid off when we were up to 40 mil TVL within the first couple of weeks on BOMB money. So I mean that paid off really well for me. But I mean, a lot of that money that I made, I have put back into the protocols to either pick up the PEG or, so basically that means like I bought up the BOMB token itself just to bring the PEG price closer to where it needed to be. So, I've done over $1 million in those transactions. So.
No. Honestly, like when I ask devs that question, it kind of gets uncomfortable. It's like, I don't want to hear that you're losing money on other projects that you're doing. I want to hear that you're making money on them, right?
Yeah.
But with that being said, did you guys hold a private sale for this token?
So the way that these tomb forks typically work is there's a Genesis farm. So we'd give a couple different options for different tokens you could deposit in order to get that initial seed phase of the PEG token. So in this case, it'd be BitBTC, BitDot, BitAtom, and BitAda. We're not doing that this time. Or we're most likely not doing that this time. We're doing a swap from the BOMB assets. So anybody that wants to get involved with those, the way that you do that is, I mean, I guess you could look at it like a pre-sale. You would buy BOMB right now, and then tomorrow you'd be able to swap that for any of our new tokens. And we're actually giving BOMB value as if it's at 1.0 PEG, even though right now, last I checked, it was at like, I think 0.6 PEG. So you're basically instantly getting, over 50% more than what you paid for the token and, during that swap. So yeah, we're at 0.62 PEG right now. So if you swap your BOMB for any of our new tokens, you're getting credit at 1.0 PEG. So
cool. Yeah, right. No, that makes sense. I dig it. The fact that you guys have been around, your previous token's been around for a while. You did some, you made some money off of that project, and then you guys are going into this one kind of not really holding a pre-sale or private sale, but kind of responsibly raising the funds for it. I do appreciate that. Zoom, did you have any questions regarding all this?
I just wanted to add something real quick. So like, kind of like in line with what I was just saying about, our community and our investors being our number one priority, with a relaunch or a new, launch of the evolution of BOMB, that was the number one concern of mine is how do I do this? And how do I make sure that all of our existing BOMB holders get made whole, right? Because a lot of people would have bought BOMB when it was at PEG, so at 1.0 PEG. So, I wanted to make sure that they would have the ability to get involved with bitBOMB at 1.0 PEG, right? And not be taking any losses there. So that's why we went about doing the swap this way. And that's why you can still get involved, for a huge discount by buying BOMB right now.
Yeah. Is there any like an early incentive for any of your diamond handlers from the last project to switch over to this one first or something like that, or no?
I mean, there's a limited number of tokens available in the swap. So that's going to be 500,000 BTC, which is the direct equivalent to BOMB. So there's a lot more than 500,000 tokens of BOMB out in the wild, but that's why we're letting people swap to the other three PEG tokens as well. They don't have quite as many as BTC does. And the swaps they are giving you credit at 1.0 peg, but the swap rate has already been predetermined based on the pricing of stuff as of, last night. So, yeah, the incentive is like, if you can get involved in the swap, and there should be plenty of space for anybody to get involved. They get a huge discount by getting BOMB at, 60% of peg right now.
Sweet. Do you guys want to explain? Go for it, Zoom.
It's okay. I just want to ask about PegHub. What is the PegHub? What's the concept of the PegHub?
Well, PegHub. So you got a bit of an echo in your mic. All right. So PegHub is our entire ecosystem governance token and revenue sharing token. I'm glad you asked about that, actually. So that's anybody can see that at PegHub.com. So what I decided to do is, so the protocols all have a developer allocation of tokens, right? So that's going to be the peg tokens and also the share tokens. So the bit share and also like bitBTC, bitDot, and all those. So what I decided to do is, instead of those dev allocations going to me, I'm going to have all of those dev allocations go and buy PegHub on the open market. And basically PegHub is the revenue sharing and governance protocol, like I said, or token, right? So anybody that wants to kind of just get a piece of everything that our protocols would have made me as the developer, they can instead just buy PegHub, and that's where all the developer allocation is going, essentially. So, and like, in terms of big ecosystem governance decisions, like, which chain should we launch our next protocol on, or what token should we peg to? Those are all going to be PegHub governance votes. So any PegHub token holders, they're, essentially we built a token with a very limited supply of 10,000 total. And, basically we anticipate those tokens going up in value tremendously due to the limited supply and all the revenue from all the different protocols that are going to feed into it.
Okay, but what's the point, or what's the goal that you are planning to achieve from launching like this kind of tokens? Because you have BOMB and you have CZBIX, and you are saying maybe you will like launch in the future through PegHub. PegHub is just like gonna be like the main thing. So what's the goal? Where do you wanna go with all these tokens?
And the goal is to earn people passive income and to build additional utility around the tokens. But for anyone that wants to have like a less risk, I guess, involved, like PegHub is a great choice to get into, because it's basically designed that the token is going to go up in value over time, just because there's such a limited number of them and we have automatic rebuys or buybacks happening. So, numerous times a day, all the dev allocations of all the share tokens are funneling into that, right? So you can actually see at PegHub.com, you can see exactly how many PegHub tokens have been bought back on the open market. You can see the value of it. So basically what we're doing is we're basically, building a lot of different streams of passive income depending on your risk tolerance and what assets you want exposure to. And, we're giving people a lot of choices there.
Okay, but for example, here looking at CZBIX token, it's when it's launched, first couple of days, it was fine. On 25th of May, it just dropped heavily. What's happening here on CZBIX?
And I'm not sure which token you're referring to exactly. CZ.
I could probably answer a bit of that. If you look at how a tomb fork generally launches, on the first block there is like there's usually one share token, and they pay some pretty insane APRs, so they can be up. I think it peaked at 5,000-ish, 26,000. But as the tokens start to be minted, they'll usually quickly come down and find a floor somewhere. It's just generally.
Was there any private sale or seed round for this one?
There was Genesis farms, just like there was Genesis farms for all of these, because it wasn't like a migration from another protocol. So we launched it, like a typical seniorage protocol launch. So we allowed people to get their tokens from Genesis farms. But, to answer your question, though, like I believe that, it's partly due to the APRs coming down slightly, as Master Peg was hinting towards. But, it's also, I believe it's just the market conditions, right? Like it just takes, there's not a ton of liquidity there. So it just takes one fairly large holder to, decide to sell, and that you can see something in the charts like that. And, that's largely, like I said, due to market conditions, and people aren't looking to get into DeFi protocols as much as they typically would, or as much as they were when we launched BOMB. So it's definitely a tougher, situation to be in now. But we're not letting it hold us back or anything. But I mean, there's going to be people that decide to exit at certain times, and not much we can do about that.
Generally, the kind of we don't really want to give advice, but like it's very volatile to hold shares, right? Like shares are not a stable investment that unless you've got balls of steel. Like the idea of the protocol is that you basically you choose your flavor, so to speak, and you farm LP tokens, and you'll be paid in the share token. So when you're holding PEG, the share tokens become very valuable because the system is designed to inflate in a period of expansion. And the system is designed to have expansion and contraction, right? So when you go into contraction phases, your boardrooms will turn off. So your pegged assets will stop printing. And this affects the share token quite immediately because they're pretty much useless. You're not going to be generating a yield unless you have them paired with BNB in a farm. But if you have them in the boardroom, like you're not getting the high juicy APRs that you'll normally get when you're printing. So they'll quickly dump. And it's pretty much, if you go under peg, like there's a relationship there where the share token will react to that.
Yeah, but at the same time, this is why we introduced a lot of the new features that we did, such as taxes and such as having, 4 different peg choices. With the 4 peg choices, the goal there is to keep the share token valuable, even if you drop, 1, 2, or 3 different pegs. The thing is that, we're just facing extreme market conditions that are, obviously pretty rough. So, I think in hindsight, I think that we probably should have done more to prevent having all 4 tokens go under peg. But, I believe 2 of them are quite close right now. And, once we get those back over peg in the near future, we'll do more to ensure that they stay there to keep the share token up.
A lot of it depends on the community, like if you have a strong community that's educated on how to play, I guess all row in the same direction. That's what will make these systems inflate to benefit the participants, I guess is how you put it.
Okay, but did you make any buybacks to CZ Bigs, or no buybacks still? Or you are planning to do buyback?
We did a lot of buys to push things over peg earlier on. It's you can't keep doing those things forever because obviously the treasury runs out of funds. So I think that's one mistake that was made with BOMB money, is that sometimes treasury funds were kind of put to work at the wrong times. So we're trying to be really strategic about that, and not to do buybacks at the wrong times, which again, it's a very difficult thing to do, but we're trying to be smarter about that. But we definitely did do a lot of buybacks on CZ pegs at the beginning, or closer to the beginning.
Would it be better for you guys to make it automated, like find an automated way to do this?
What we've automated that we did not have in place when CZ launched is we did not have in place contracts that could automatically sell the peg tokens. So that's like the first stage of automating that, is we need to be able to convert those peg tokens that the treasury receives when the boardroom is printing, convert that into liquid assets, right? Like a US stable coin or BNB, BTC, any of these assets, so that we have a lot of ammo for when we need to, assist with peg with buybacks. So now we have everything in place to automate that. So because we had to develop that for PegHub anyways, in order to sell share tokens and to sell peg tokens in really small controlled amounts numerous times throughout the day. And that's going to all feed into PegHub. But we're going to use those same contracts to also build up the treasuries automatically. So we'll be in a much stronger position in the future for buybacks.
Yeah, so this will be automated at the launch of the new token, or are you guys, it's in development?
No, it's already done. The automation for that is already done. So the actual buybacks themselves won't be automated, but we'll build up the ammo, which is the harder part, right? The harder part is, selling these peg tokens throughout the day in a very safe way to not hurt pegs when they're healthy, but at the same time to be converting some of those protocol assets into something that's liquid that you can use in the future. So that part's going to be automated so that we'll have tons of ammo for buybacks.
Cool. Did you guys do any buybacks right now? Because I went through your chat and it looks like the bomb is blowing up right now. Have you guys did you guys kickstart that with any of your own buys, or is that all community?
No, I'm just chilling here in the AMA. I didn't even notice, to be honest.
I'm gonna have a look at it right now.
There's a $10,000 buy, man. You guys are doing pretty good.
Yeah, let's go.
AMA paid for itself already, buddy.
Well, I mean, BOMB is, you're getting the new tokens at, a huge discount right now. So I'm surprised we're not seeing more of those, to be honest.
Yeah. So this whole process sounds to be honest, it sounds very complicated to me. Talking about buying BOMB and then you got to migrate it over and all this stuff. Could you guys could you show us this process? Could you share your screen and show us what kind of
Yeah, actually, we do have an early version of the swap site up right now that I could show. Give me one sec.
Cool.
I think I got it open here somewhere. All right, that's me.
There we go. That's what I like to see, a dev space on an AMA.
All right, let me see if I can find this now.
Go ahead and turn off your camera so we can see the full screen. It's a lot easier for everybody. Yeah.
Your hair looks really nice, by the way.
Thanks, man. Spent 2 minutes fixing it up right before the AMA. Okay. bitBOMB swap. So this is going to be live soon. It's not live right now. I'm on a development URL now. So essentially what you would do for anybody new is you would purchase BOMB. So BOMB right now, as you can see here, is 0.62 peg. So it's only 62% of the price that it's supposed to be at. Once you have BOMB, which do I have any here? Yeah, I got a little bit here. So where did I put that? Oh, right here. So I'm not used to that new icon. So once you have BOMB, you'll be able to come here and you'll be able to swap it for any of our new assets. So BitBTC, BitDot, BitAtom, and BitADA. So it shows you the exchange rate here. As I mentioned, we're giving credit for BOMB as if it's at 1.0 peg. So we're doing an exact 1-to-1 swap here. So these numbers aren't accurate. It's showing that every token sold. That's just because I didn't fund the contract yet. So, but yeah, so then this is showing your exchange. So every BOMB that you have is getting you 0.3 BitDot, which is quite accurate to if BOMB was at 1.0 peg. That's, about exactly how many Polkadot token you should get in exchange. So, and that same thing applies to all of these. So, 4.5 BitADA for every BOMB and 0.225 BitAtom for every BOMB. So part of our protocol is we also have bonds, which is something that people can swap their BOMB for when we're under peg. So we've got 330,000 of these out there right now. So typically people that are holding B bonds, which is our protocol bond, they can't do anything with those until we're over peg typically. But because, as I mentioned, we really care about our investors and people that have put faith in our project. So a lot of the people holding bonds are ones that they would have a lot of faith in our protocol and they believe in our long-term success. So we're letting people switch over their bonds the exact same as their BOMB. So it doesn't really matter if you're using BOMB or BBond, you get the exact same credit either way. So that's, it's something that a lot of our BBond holders are, going to be pretty happy about, just because the token that right now they can't do anything with is going to be very usable in 19 hours when this opens up.
Do you guys have a video on this?
Sorry, what's that?
Do you guys have a video on this, like a tutorial how to buy bond, how to swap it over, and all that stuff?
We should make one. I don't believe we have a video for that. Yeah,
Get it done. Put it on TikTok, buddy.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, actually, there's one more I forgot to go over. So that is our BitShare. So that's going to be the equivalent of our BShare token. So BShare is the token that you would put in the boardroom in order to get newly minted BOMB tokens. So what we're doing is, to ensure the success of the new protocol, we're actually allowing these BShares to be swapped to BitShares, but it's going to be done at a 100-to-1 ratio because we really anticipate our BitShares having a much higher price than BShares. So basically, if you have 100 BShares, you can swap that into one BitShare. I mean, you could do other fractional amounts as well. So as you can see here on my screen, I'm not sure if the text is too small, but 58.9 BShares is going to turn into 0.589 BitShares. So this is going to be swappable right here as well. And, I anticipate the people that are doing this are probably going to be in a lot of profit from this, just because of how, we're going to have those 4 different boardrooms that are all going to be printing new tokens for the first week. So I should probably actually go into that. So our boardrooms typically only will mint new tokens when we're over peg, but we're going to be doing the same thing that we did for CZ pegs, which is have a bootstrap phase, which, because the supply of all these tokens is going to be quite low at first. So the amount that it shows here is actually going to be the total supply. So 500,000 bit BTC, 45,000 bit DOT, 35,000 bit Atom, and then 650,000 bit ADA. So because we're limiting the supply initially somewhat, we're going to go through that bootstrap phase so that these supplies are going to be, expanded upon. So yeah, but for the first week, no matter what the pegs are looking like, we're going to be printing new tokens in the boardrooms. So that's going to make the BitShare, a very attractive token, regardless of peg early on. And as well, our BitShare farms is the farm that pays the most money. So that'd be the equivalent of, I'll just go over to CZ pegs here real quick. So that'd be the equivalent of our CZ shares farm here. And as you can see, the APR on that is higher than anything else. So that's, on the first day, this was over 100% per day, right? So I anticipate something similar for BitShares. So it's, the people that are doing these swaps are going to likely do quite well with that.
Okay, I have a question. Why I need to buy CZ Big or BOMB token? Well, I can just hold BTC or Atom or whatever the token that I want.
It's because the farming rewards that we pay for farming the LP token, right? So, for Bitcoin, you're lucky to get 10% or 15% annually. We're going to be paying much higher APRs than that. So that's going to be the large reason for most people to, purchase our token and to farm our token early on.
I'd like to explain how we can achieve those high APRs. And the reason is because the APRs will be typically quite high when we're over peg, which when we're over peg, it means that there's more people coming into our system or there's more buy pressure. So that's when the APRs rise, and then the system will adjust. So it'll print money, and if the buy pressure is dropping compared to the sell pressure, then the system will adjust through the price, and then the boardrooms will shut off. So this will allow, I guess, the growth of the whole ecosystem to catch up while no new tokens are being produced. And then once it comes back above peg, it just repeats the cycle and it starts printing again.
Okay, but printing token will reduce the value sooner or later.
Somewhat, but the idea is that as long as the people that are getting the tokens minted to them don't go and sell too much, the community can really work together to hold high pegs and basically enrich themselves, because if you're holding the token, then it's just going to print you more. And as long as you don't dump it unsustainably and push us under peg, it's going to keep printing, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, you cannot rely.
Sell it. Like as it gets larger, there will be sales, and it's to be expected, and that's how the system readjusts. So it's basically seigniorage means the cost to print money. So we're able to basically control the inflation rate so that we can hold these pegged assets. That's basically it.
Yeah, but you cannot rely on community or of the token that they will not sell. They are staking, or they are like stake to get the token to sell for this 10%, 15%. Sooner or later, they will. It will create. Yeah.
So like I'm a big believer in creating additional like utility and different ways to use the token as opposed to trying to encourage people to not sell. So there's two ways to stay above peg, and I mean usually it'd be a combination of the two, but essentially you need people to only sell when it's an ideal time to sell. That's the one side, but the other side is you could just have enough outside buy pressure that you can facilitate these people selling and still stay above peg. So whether that utility is the ability to farm at a very high yield or APR or APY, that's one, and we've been working continuously on different things that you could use the tokens for. For example, we have BUSM money, our US stablecoin. So we're going to have all these different peg tokens. We're going to have likely the LPs that you could deposit there to borrow BUSM. We're still deciding exactly what we want to use as collateral options there, but we're building out more and more use cases for the tokens. So basically so that there's more buy pressure than there is sell pressure if the boardroom is continuously printing. So I think
the current situation right now. For the current situation, what will happen if there is no volume, if there is no buy pressure? You will print more, you will create more tokens, you will mint more tokens. These tokens will be, and it will be dumped.
No, so right now these are under peg, right? So like as you can see, like on my screen, none of these are at 1.0. CZ-BOMB is quite close, but none of them are at 1.0. So we're not minting any new tokens when they're below 1.0. So as Master Peg was saying, that's part of, the reason that the share token is down as low as it is right now is just because all four of these are under peg right now. So right now our boardrooms at this exact peg level, they're not printing right now, right? But it would just take BOMB to go up 1%, a little over 1%, and it would be printing. Some of the other ones are fairly close and some of them are a little bit further away, but there's not a ton of liquidity on these right now. So it really doesn't take that much buy pressure to get it back over peg. Right. So, but just to answer what you were saying, though, we're not minting any new tokens until we're over peg. We only mint when we're over peg. I mean, it's all automatic, but that's just how the system works.
Okay, Z, you have any questions?
No, not on that. To be honest, this step is like a totally different language to me. That's why I'm relying on you guys.
Yeah, I think also we need a simpler way to explain because it seems a bit complicated. So we need a simple way to explain it to the community also. In another meaning, how the people can make money from that.
Yes, I mean, that's something that we've had as a major focus of ours is to, to make it as easy as possible to use so that, for one, you can understand what's going on, but also it's easy to get involved. So we're going to have continuous improvements in that area. One easy way is just to go over to bomb.farm. So this is our own auto compounding site. So this is somewhere where you can, you can just zap into, you can basically get involved here with any of our farms and it will auto compound for you. So This is probably the easiest way to get involved, just bomb.farm. So, if you like the APR on anything, you can just, add liquidity. This is going to bring you right where you need to go in order to get your LP tokens to start farming. It has links to buy the token. So this is probably for until we have something that's much easier in place where anybody that's new could just come and get involved. This is probably the easiest starting point would be bomb.farm.
Okay, and I think the contract is audited by Sokin. I never heard about them before. So how about them? How would their audit?
To be honest, I left that in the hands of my marketing department. We have some really experienced guys there, and they had suggested we go with Sokin. So I followed their expertise. So I don't have a great answer to that. But we're using the same code base with some modifications from our previous code base, which had undergone several audits as well. The changes that were implemented, they're quite. It's nothing groundbreaking. It's something that's it was able to be implemented in a very safe way, right? And we did have Sokin. I was in communication with them. They did my KYC also. I think actually we have a link that would show you. You could go through and read the audit. Just for anybody that wants to get more information on this. So that link will bring you right to the audit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've never heard of that, but we'll look into it.
Yeah, I have a question from community. Gabriel is saying, why would someone buy, for example, CZ Big with BNB, where there is 10% tax instead of buying BNB directly without any tax?
So this is only a sell tax under PEG, right? So you actually don't pay this tax unless you're selling the token while it's under 1.0. So, we're really trying to look for long-term investors. A lot of investors on BSC. Actually, I was reading some stats about this. Within the first 2 days, something like over 2/3 of people have already pulled their money from a farm. So when people enter farm positions, it's typically for a very short period of time. So that's not really the type of investor that we're looking for. We're looking for longer term investors. We have a 2-year runway on our rewards on our farms. So, for anybody that's coming in with a longer term perspective, that tax should really be irrelevant, just because the amount that you're going to earn on that farm over time, that even if you need to exit when it's below PEG in the future, you will have already earned so much more than, this 25% combined that, exiting while it's under PEG should really be a non-issue for any long-term investor. And again, there's no taxes on the buys. There's no taxes on adding liquidity. We've whitelisted every, relevant contract so that an address so that you don't need to pay tax unless you're actually selling the token and it's under PEG.
That tax is a 15% burn. So there's 10% goes to the treasury wallets and 15% of the token gets burned. So if people sell under PEG, it kind of benefits everyone else because there's a whole bunch of tokens getting burnt and treasuries becoming stronger.
Yep, that's very true. And, even PegHub almost works in a similar way as well, right? It's like when people sell PegHub, it's letting our buybacks, basically get more tokens with the same amount of money, so we've designed everything so that, people can sell if they like, but it's going to strengthen the protocol and benefit the long-term holders when people do sell. Actually, speaking of PegHub, I'll show you guys that site real quick. So, this is already up like a couple of units from when I looked last. So 76 PegHub were bought back, which is, not a small number when you're looking at a $400 token. We got 2.7 million in the farm there. APY is not crazy right now. That's not really the main reason that you hold this. It's mainly because the token's going to appreciate in value through those buybacks. All the tokens bought back do feed this farm. So this is, we have this right here, PHub Maxi. So this is getting fed from buyback strictly. So that's the only way that this is fueled. So once we launch bitBOMB and it's going to have these PEG tokens that are over PEG that it's going to be selling. It's going to have BitShares, which is going to get the dev allocation. It's going to be using that for the buybacks. These numbers are going to jump quite a bit.
Yeah, but this kind of complicated protocol, we didn't used to see it this often in BSC space. So why you decided to launch on Smart Chain instead of Ethereum? Because mainly for these protocols, it's mainly for like Ethereum is much better. Why you decided to go for Smart Chain?
Well, I mean, for one, we want to really like continue to strive to make it as easy to use as possible. And, you know, I know seniorage protocols are not easy at all in the first place. So we've got some major hurdles to get over in that department. But we will keep working to make it simpler to understand and simpler to use and get involved until it's at the point where anybody can do it, even if they're new to crypto. But to answer your question specifically, so what I was doing is I was taking something that I knew worked, which was Tomb Finance, which was on the Phantom blockchain. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to mainly change the peg. So I changed from, you know, peg into Phantom to peg into Bitcoin because I figured people would want that exposure to Bitcoin. And then I also wanted to launch on a bigger network. And BSC seemed, you know, I was already familiar with numerous of the chains at the time. And BSC seemed like the best choice for that. Just a network that has a lot of investors on it and, you know, just a bigger chain than Phantom really. So that was the main reason for BSC. And, you know, the fees on Ethereum scare a lot of people, right? So we do plan to launch on Ethereum. We're going to be launching numerous protocols on other chains that are all going to feed into PegHub. And Ethereum will be one of them. It probably will be the third or fourth protocol that will launch going out from here, but we do have big plans on Ethereum in the future.
Aaron, do you know how many Tomb forks there are out there in the wild?
The last time I heard a number was 800, and that was probably like 2 or 3 months ago I heard that. So, I mean, I'd have to.
So there is a lot of people that understand what a Tomb fork is.
Yeah, it's like, very true.
I mean, relatively maybe not, but I mean, there's definitely a lot of people that have played Tomb forks and really enjoyed them. So,
yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I still think that we need to strive to make it so that anybody can use it, regardless of their previous experience. But yeah, there is quite a market out there that is familiar with this sort of protocol.
I would also agree that the learning curve from looking at it, like it's just confusing as how. But like, if you read through the documents, yeah, you'll get there. It's not that complex.
Yeah, I guess that's the first way that we tackled the complexity is we try to build out as, intricate of documentation as we could to kind of explain the different aspects of it. That includes things like strategies, basically like everything that you'd need to do within the protocol we have, mentioned here. So definitely give this a read for anybody that's not familiar with Tomb forks, or even if you are familiar with them, some of the differences that in our protocol can be found in the documentation.
Yeah, I think your first step when you guys are you guys are launching soon, but one of the big things you guys need to do is really just teach people how to do this and how to understand the whole process and let them know why it's a value.
Yep. Actually, speaking of that, I got an email yesterday from one of my colleagues. It was actually, pretty much outlined what a PegHub, university type thing would look. So like, for anybody that's new to the ecosystem, just to kind of lay out the different options that they have and show them, the steps to take to get involved with any of them. And that also breaks down, like, if you have a higher risk tolerance, this is a better option for you. And, this is something safer and, kind of just to talk about the different risks involved with different aspects of the protocols and, and like I said, how to actually get started with them. So we'll likely move forward with something similar to that just for the whole ecosystem, but we will also keep, developing to make things easier to use as well.
Okay,
yeah, because, you guys did pull up 3 or 4 different websites. So I think if you can kind of consolidate everything into one kind of dashboard, that would be awesome too.
Yeah, so we have huge plans for our PegHub site. Actually, one thing I want to show real quick here, and we need to highlight this better, but I wanted these 2 wallet options included. So Fortmatic and Taurus. Those are 2 different options for connecting that don't involve MetaMask, right? So these are ways that a new user could connect and they could just register, and they basically their wallet is kind of associated with their email address. And both of these two providers use slightly different methods to authenticate who you are, but they're really great wallet options for someone that's newer to DeFi, because it kind of makes Web3 a little bit more similar to Web2 in a way, but it still keeps it very secure. So I'd highly recommend any new users that, looking to connect in with these options here, if they don't want to dive into MetaMask.
Oh, I hate MetaMask.
Oh, actually, sorry, to answer your question though. So we have big plans for the PegHub site, and I think some inspiration for that is coming from BIFI Finance. I'll pull that up real quick. So I think that they have one of the best sites when it comes to having a lot of things available on all the different chains, all in one dashboard. And that's what we're looking at here. So it doesn't really matter what chain you're connected to at the moment. It's going to show you. You could search, you could sort by APY, you could do everything just strictly based on your own criteria, and it's going to search across all the chains, which I think makes a ton of sense now, because it's just so easy to bridge your assets between numerous chains. It doesn't make sense to be searching for what you're looking for and have to, look at only one chain at a time. So we're going to do something similar like to this on PegHub once we're launched on numerous chains, where you could actually see all of our different farms, all the different peg assets that we have, what the APYs are, and you could actually get involved right from that dashboard. And it's not going to look like this, but it's going to function just like this, right? In terms of, if you want to filter by chain, you can, but I mean, it would make more sense to filter by what assets you want exposure to, or what the farmers are paying, as opposed to what chain that asset happens to be on, right?
Yeah, that's good.
Yes, I mean, we'll have that available at PegHub, and this will be the gateway kind of to all of our different protocols and all the different things that we're offering. And we do have other offerings in addition to the seniorage protocols. So I mean, this is not completed yet, but I'll show you like even another thing that we're working on in the background. This is a fork of Taro. For anyone that's familiar with Phantom, they're probably familiar with Taro on Phantom. It allows you to leverage your LPs so that you can earn more on them. And it also, there's a lot of different cool things that you can do here. This is still in development. It's fully functional right now, but it's, it's something where we have to build out the interface a little bit better. And, we'll have this available on multiple chains in the future. And again, just like everything else, our revenue from this is going to, feed right into PegHub to get that token up, moving towards that 100,000 per token rate. We got high hopes for PegHub.
So does PegHub have its own token as well?
Yeah. So this is the PegHub price right here. It's $4.17 a token. So like I was saying earlier, like the PegHub holders, they're the ones that are going to, be deciding all the major decisions for our protocol. So we've already had like one governance vote. So we actually did a vote on what our fourth peg token of bitBOMB should be, and we had a pretty good turnout. Quite a few people voted on this. Yeah, so I mean, that's exactly what PegHub is going to do. It's going to be the governance token and the revenue sharing token for the entire ecosystem. It's already serving that purpose right now.
And is this the team you have here? Are you guys working on all of these different projects together? Is there any other teams involved?
Okay, so I'll take that one. So the two colleagues I have with me right now are actually project leads on different projects. So, MasterPeg is project lead on CZ Pegs. Diamond, he's project lead on bitBOMB or BOMB Money. So they don't specifically work on PegHub. Obviously, we take their thoughts and into consideration when we're doing things, but they don't specifically work on PegHub. So we're building up the team so that it's very like modular, so that we have separate teams and separate leads on the different aspects of the ecosystem. So we haven't appointed anyone to be project lead on PegHub yet, but that's something that we're going to have in place in the near future. So Edward, there's going to be a project lead on every project, and there's going to be a team underneath of that project lead on every project. So that's coming along quite well. We just started that restructuring in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's good, because it's one project is a full-time job, and if you have three separate ones, it's going to be a little too much to manage.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we're building out the team. We're hiring aggressively, and we know the potential in DeFi, and and passive income. And, we really feel DeFi is the future of finance. So, we're building out our team and we're ready for the market to turn around and we're ready to kick some ass.
Sweet.
Okay, now why should anyone invest right now?
Oh, I mean, I would say to anybody, not even just DeFi, I think now is an excellent time to get into crypto just because of the asset prices, right? Like when everybody else is scared and thinks things are going to zero, I mean, this is the time to get in, right? This is when people get rich, is entering crypto right now. And, I think, our protocols they're going to be thriving as soon as the market turns around, and likely even before then, right? So this is the perfect opportunity to not only to get in, but also to be able to build up your bags while we're waiting for the market to turn around. And I think Bitcoin, is probably the best asset to have exposure to in these times. Whether you think the market's about to turn around or it's still got some more downside to it, no matter what you think is going to happen, Bitcoin is the one that's going to fall the least typically in a market downturn. And we've kind of demonstrated that in the last quarter, where Bitcoin was down, I think, 56%, and Ethereum was down something in the 70s, like 78%, or I don't know, 70 something percent. Ethereum was down last quarter. So, and that's being the number 2 crypto by market cap, Ethereum, that took a substantially larger hit than Bitcoin. So, we feel that Bitcoin is proving to everybody that was a great choice for our peg when we first launched BOMB Money, and that's still our number 1 peg on bitBOMB going forward. So, I think I answered the question there, but yeah, I think it's a great time to get into crypto, and it's a great time to get into DeFi with, the asset prices at what they're at right now.
Okay, and then you said actually something here. It's what's your anti-rug mechanism? How the people can make sure that it will not be a rug pull or something?
I mean, like, I'm fully doxed. I'm the only one that potentially has that ability, but you can look at my trade history to see that, like, I've put over $1 million of my own money into buying tokens to help peg. That's not the actions of a developer that's going to rug a project, right? Like I easily didn't have to spend that money to help improve peg in the past, but that's like the complete polar opposite of doing a rug pull, right?
Fair enough.
But yeah, I mean, like, I've also met numerous members from the community and from the team. It's something where I'm not hiding, right? So if anybody wants to come meet me for a beer, I'm open for it.
Okay, Rupert's saying you invested 1 million of your own money.
Yep, I can show the trades. Yeah, it's like, when BOMB launched, I'd built up a farm, a BOMB BTCB farm that was $2.5 million or so. And, I broke that farm and I used all that Bitcoin. I used almost all that Bitcoin to buy back BOMB, right? So that was over $1 million in Bitcoin that I used to buy BOMB with.
I think that's just, that's super bullish. Like, I mean, you have a project owner that not only can make that kind of money, but then they also put that money back into their own project. And to me, that speaks volumes.
Yeah, I mean, it was an easy decision for me at the time. I said, hey, okay, well, I've made all this money from this project, but a lot of my investors aren't in that same situation because they weren't in from day one. They didn't buy assets when they were cheaper, whatever the case may be. And I said, okay, well, if my 2 choices are I let peg continue to fall, or I put a lot of this Bitcoin that I had generated and I used that to prop the peg back up, it was an easy decision for me, and I would do the same thing again.
I have a question.
Sure.
You said that people will earn more than 25% tax on your tokens, right? If they will stake, but they will only earn that money as long as the peg is over 1-to-1 ratio, right?
Just to make sure that everyone's on the same page. So getting involved you don't get taxed at all. So you can buy, for example, CZBNB right now. You're not going to pay any tax. This tax is specifically if you're selling and we're under peg. So making an LP, farming, buying, all those things have no tax.
I think I know what you're asking. So the shares will emit regardless of whether we're above peg or not. So if you have LP tokens in the farm, you will be getting share tokens. But if you're under peg, the thing is the share tokens will be worth less. So the APR on paper will look worse. But the thing is, once the peg goes up, if you still hold those tokens, I mean, a lot of people auto compound them, so they won't be holding them when it goes back up. But once you go over peg again, then your APRs will quite markedly rise. I think if you go in the farms right now, I mean, compared to TradFi, these are insane. But compared to what we can do when we're above peg, these APRs are quite relatively low at the moment.
Yeah,
and that's because the shares are very cheap right now. So once our boardroom starts printing, there'll be a lot more demand to hold the share tokens.
Okay,
yeah,
and
there is a lot of different strategies. Like this kind of platform opens up so many variables that it's almost unlimited the different ways you try and profit from a system like this. So yeah, like I'm happy to go in depth with anyone on strategies because I've been playing a few different types of these for a while now, and I love them. I've had a good fun. So if anyone wants to have a chat about strategies or how you think it might work like this or whatever, feel free to DM me. I love talking about this project.
Do you have like a counter? How long the coins are actually over, or at least 1-to-1 ratio peg?
For CZ pegs?
Yeah, I mean, what I mean is
like a historical.
To sell without additional tax. Right?
If you open up from the website, you've got next to each pegged item, you've got a chart. So that'll open up your deck screener. For let's say CZBMB, you will need to switch the price into WBMB, and that will show you a peg ratio. So if you have it open on deck screener, and you'll be able to see where it's at 1.000, that's the peg. But the boardrooms don't actually start printing till 1.001. So you can look back at the history of the token and see when it was printing.
I've got that pulled up right now on my screen. So you can see here that they've done a pretty good job staying pretty close to it. So my mouse is right at 1.0 right now. So we're looking at the price in rapidly. Do you hear that?
I think we cannot hear you clearly.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, now it is okay.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I just pulled this up in the 4-hour chart. So you can see here, basically when it's been at peg. So it stayed very close to it. So then, we had a little bit of a mishap with, some staff before, and this, it dropped quite a bit, but it came right back up. But yeah, it's definitely doing a good job staying around peg. The tax is doing a really amazing job ensuring that, people don't just freely sell it when it's below peg, just because they found something, something else. And yeah, it's working out quite well.
When you say mishap with some staff, what do you mean by that?
So basically we had a staff member that was, kind of saying he held a high position at the protocol. I actually had him as a smaller partner, like he was kind of acting as my partner. And he was saying one thing to the community, and then his trades were doing something completely opposite of that. So that's something that, I'm a strong believer in that, when you look at my wallet, for example, you'll see that I strongly believe in, my own protocols. I expect that of my colleagues and especially of someone that's acting as my partner. And that just wasn't the case with him. And, it got brought up to me by a couple members in the community, and, and there was a bit of a falling out, and that's, he ended up dumping a bunch of his tokens, and that's when that happened. So, but we've
Yeah, no, I hear you. I've been there. I've been there many times on projects. And I'm glad you answered that, honestly, because like, I mean, it takes some real guts to kind of dump a teammate that's holding that big of a position in the project, and you had the balls to do it. So yeah, good for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's a learning lesson, right? I've learned a lot since I started in DeFi, and definitely some of the bigger mistakes have been, about giving people an allocation of tokens, and that's come to bite me more than once now. But that's something where I'm being very careful about that, and team members need to get vested tokens, or they need to maybe be on board for a little bit longer before they start getting some of those dev allocations. Well, dev allocations all go to PegHub now, so that's really a non-issue going forward. But
so yeah, so you learned a lesson from that, and now that's an impossibility, or is there still like, did you allocate any huge percentages to your team right now, or no?
No. So I still am a very strong believer in the whole team doing the same thing as what they're saying to people. So if you're going to go saying that this token is great, well, you shouldn't say that unless you own some of it, because why are you talking about it saying that it's great if you're not even willing to own any? Right. So I still think that the team should do, their wallet should show kind of the same things that they're saying when they're talking to the community. So I'm a strong believer in that. But yeah, there's really no one that's getting, I don't have like a partner right now that's getting a certain allocation of tokens where they're able to actually do that. And as I said, dev allocations are going right to PHub now. So, that's not possible anymore.
Nice. Perfect.
Yeah.
Cool. Good answers.
Sorry, I had a question, if that's all right to ask right now.
Yeah, go for it.
Go for it, Azzy.
Yeah, bro. Basically, what it is, I'm in the BTC BOMB LP. So I've got some in the auto compounder and some just farming for BSHARES. I just wanted to know, what's the best play for me here? Because I'm thinking to break the LPs, sell the BTC for BOMB, and then redeem the BOMB 1-for-1 for bitBOMB. But I don't know if that's the play. I just wanted to see what you would do if you was me.
So what I would probably do is I would break the LP and I would swap the BOMB for BTC once that migration opens up tomorrow. Whether you want to swap the BTC for BOMB and do the swap with that, that's something that some people can do. But if everybody does that, then we're just going to have a lot of sell pressure on BTC when people are trying to re-enter those farms, which likely is still going to be okay anyways, just because there's going to be a lot of demand to farm that pair, especially super early on. So I think that would offset people, zapping back into that pair, and which is going to put some sell pressure on BTC, which is the evolution of BOMB.
Yeah.
So I think it's fine for some people to do that. Just I wouldn't personally do that. My bags are a little bit too big to do anything like that. Obviously, I need to be very careful with the trades that I do. But I'd say for most people that'd be a pretty smart play.
Yeah, for like sub 20K, that's okay, innit?
Yeah, so it's really your call. I anticipate the buy pressure being strong enough that, I think that's a smart play to do exactly the trades that you mentioned at first. But yeah,
because I'm thinking the alternative is if I was just to do the BOMB, then I'm thinking what's the downside in terms of impermanent loss? Because that I'm guessing bitBOMB is going to be well over peg when it launches, right? Boardroom's going to be printing. It's going to be over peg.
Yeah, that's what I think as well. But if a lot of people are doing exactly what you just mentioned about, taking your current LP and swapping the Bitcoin for BOMB and then swapping that, migrating all of that to BitBTC, those same people are going to be, they're going to need to re-enter that farm, which means that they're going to need to sell half their BitBTC. So that's going to keep the peg in check, I think. Right. So I think the safer play for you is probably to just break the LP and swap the BOMB for BitBTC and then just remake your LP with the Bitcoin you already have. And then, maybe do a swap just to kind of even things out. But yeah, I think the more beneficial play probably financially would be like how you mentioned it at first, just to take advantage of the BOMB right now.
So to answer your question, Ezzy, do what you're going to do. Just don't tell anybody about it,
right? Basically.
No problem. I'll keep it as a secret.
Cool. All right. Anybody else have any questions, or how did you guys want to go forward?
I think honestly it's like it seems very complicated, the concept itself, so it need like video explanation or something, very basic video explanation. I know it might be written in the documents on the website, but when it's being explained by video, I think it will be much easier. People need to see how they can invest, how they can use the protocol.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I totally agree, you guys. I think you know, just from talking to your team, I really I think you guys know what you're doing. But I really don't think, unless you're into this sort of thing, it's really hard to understand, you know. And if you guys can really just find a way, maybe like a tutorial or like a video, try to make it as short as possible, but as informative as possible, that would really help you guys to gain some new eyes on this project and new investors, you know.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, we've definitely known that since early on, but I think maybe our efforts haven't been as strong as they needed to be in that category. So definitely that's one of our really main focuses, is trying to make things easier to use, and, you know, and having that, you know, videos like you mentioned, to have, you know, people can see it in action and see how to get involved, right? So I definitely agree fully, and we'll be making big strides in that area. We'll probably start with some video tutorials too. I'll probably get some guys to start making some of those. Or maybe I'll do some myself. Do we want to take more questions, or what do you guys want to do next?
Yeah, Zoom, you want to take some more questions?
Yeah, let's open it.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
yep.
I can hear
you. I don't know if you already answered this one. What is the incentive to actually like buy your pegged tokens instead of, you know, using less steps in between, and to just play on the regular ones, the original versions?
Yeah, so that's an easy answer. We did answer that earlier for anybody that's been here, but so basically the reason is that we give a much higher farming APR than anything that you could get holding a single token. So one sec. So I mean, you can see from the APRs here, and this is with you know, a severely depressed reward token price. So these APRs are typically a lot higher, and they will bounce back up. But I mean, you can't find these APRs. Like, you can't get 100% APR holding BNB. That doesn't exist, right? So we give you that ability to have very low impermanent loss or no impermanent loss, and, you know, to be able to get 100% exposure towards BNB, but have an APR that you're, you know, really happy about at the same time. So that's the main focus there.
And are these APRs, are they sustainable?
I mean, definitely. I mean, these are actually quite low compared to what they, you know, will very likely be at in the future. So the way that this works is our share token, which is, it's at $13 right now. 100 of these every day are emitted as rewards. So obviously, as the share token is higher in value, that's going to make the rewards much higher, and the APRs are going to be substantially higher. So, I mean, I'd say not only are they sustainable, but they're going to, you know, they're almost for sure going to be much higher than this in the near future.
Okay, we have a question. Also, it's my experience with BOMB money is that peak never lasted longer than few days. Can someone explain why?
Yeah, I mean, so BOMB being the very first, you know, tomb fork, we had a lot of interest at the very beginning, and then, you know, as, you know, 1,000+ new forks showed up, they typically have a high APR at the beginning, and a lot of them unfortunately turned out to be rug pulls, or, you know, they had a team that wasn't as focused on investor safety as us. So, you know, a lot of people unfortunately went to those higher APRs and they got rugged, or, you know, it's basically, so we've changed a lot of things since we first launched that would make it easier to stay above peg once we get to being above peg. And BOMB hasn't actually been above peg since a lot of those changes were implemented there. So for example, like having a smaller boardroom print so that we're not minting so many new BOMB tokens every time the boardroom prints. It's a more sustainable number that's still very attractive to our investors for the people that are staking in the boardroom, but it's not a number that's so high that, if a couple people sell, it's going to put us below peg, right? So we've taken all that information and a lot of new features and mechanics and applied that all to bitBOMB. And that's why we feel that bitBOMB is going to be able to maintain peg moving forward. And it's not going to have those same problems that BOMB had. Although, and again, I think BOMB wouldn't have as many issues. If it got to peg right now, it would stay there a lot easier than it did in the past. But having all these new features on top of that is going to make it that much better.
Yeah, as I told you earlier, it's just like relying on community in smart chain is not a good idea. So you cannot rely that they will not sell. Everyone is selling. They are dumping heavily.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And that's something that we've learned. And that's why, like I've always said to the team, I don't want to 100% focus on getting the community to not sell, because the community, people are going to sell if they feel like selling, right? There's nothing you can do to change that. So it's better to, put mechanics in place that make it not make sense to sell. So that's what the tax is doing, or to keep interest up. So people are always, getting involved with positions, right? And that's why we have numerous peg tokens, so that it's easier to keep certain, a couple tokens over peg, to keep the share valuable, which keeps the farms paying high. And there's a lot of positive changes that we've come up with, and we feel really good about them.
Yeah, or maybe you can have such like a pancake swap having locked staking with higher APR than the regular one.
Sorry.
So it's kind of control the dump. Having locked period, for example, 7 days with like 10%.
Yeah.
So we do have some timing locks for share tokens. So if you put share tokens into the boardroom, there'll be epochs that you can't just straight away withdraw them. There's also some taxes for moving between boardrooms. But yeah, the thing is though, when peg's lost, like these systems are designed to cope with those periods under peg. So the system adjusts and stops the inflation on the peg tokens, and it will still continue inflating the share tokens. So that mechanic ends up, I guess, just enabling high APRs with some sort of a sustainability mechanism for when there might be some sales or some demand pressure drops off. So, yeah.
Okay, let's open the question for the community. If someone need to ask, go ahead, guys, and if you want to ask.
While we wait for someone to ask, I'm just going to address a question that's going on in the text chat right now in the channel. So, people are, questioning the.
Actually, most important question is you print tokens and 25% tax for sell. How it's a good idea?
So keep in mind that tax is only applied to sells, and it's only applied if we're under peg.
Yeah,
right?
It's the biggest. So 1 point. Yeah. 1 point.
So keep in mind, you can get involved with this. You can farm this. You can do everything except for sell under peg, and you will never pay tax, right? So as long as you wait until we're over peg to exit, or if you're farming this for any amount of time, you will be more than 25% in the profit to cover that tax on the peg token if you do have to exit, at a time that we're, under peg. And again, these tax rates aren't set in stone. There's something that we can have a community vote and change this. This was only 15% when we launched, and maybe we did have a community vote to increase this to 25. That did pass. It was a landslide, but maybe 25% is too high. I think that maybe we were quick to we thought, okay, well, 15% is not deterring people from selling, so maybe we need to change it to a higher tax. But maybe it was just because of what was going on at the time. There was a lot of people that thought it was a bank run or something like that. So there was people that were selling regardless of what the tax was. So you know what? Maybe we will have another vote to drop the tax down a little bit. But again, it's really important to know that this is only if you're selling, and it's only for under peg. And it's there to keep the share price valuable by keeping tokens over peg. All right, let's get some community questions if that has been addressed.
Yeah, guys, ask your questions right now. Everybody should be unmuted.
Hello.
Hey.
Yeah. I have a question. How you actually generate money for buybacks? Because you said before you used your like money, right? From earning from bombs and from Bitcoin or something like that. So how are you generating money instead of just collecting the taxes?
Yeah, so I'll take that one. So essentially what happens is every day, or well, constantly since the protocol is launched, there's share tokens that are for the developer allocation, which those are the tokens that are now going to PegHub. So those tokens are automatically sold numerous times a day and going to PegHub. But we're using the same automation to also do that for the protocol allocation of tokens. So this is going to give us liquid crypto assets that we can use for buybacks in the future. So this is, it's happening for share tokens, and it's also going to happen for peg tokens when they're over peg. So that is something that we didn't put into place yet, but the smart contract's already ready to go. So, when bitBOMB is launched, those will be active at the same time. So they will be selling small amounts of the peg tokens based on a lot of different criteria. So how far over peg is it? What is the current peg versus the time weighted average price? It's going to take a lot of these factors into consideration, combined with factors, variables that we've set for the specific tokens. So for example, BitBTC, this is going to be about a $2 token when we launch. We can say that we don't want to sell any more than like 100 units in any automatic sale, for example. And then it's going to be like, a random number that's lower than that based on a bunch of different criteria. So we're going to basically use that to sell the peg tokens when they're too high, and we'll use the funds that we get from that to do buybacks to prop up the tokens when we need to.
I got a question. From your last token, like generally speaking, with your community, have you seen, like, are people making money off of it? Like, do they know how to play it? Have you seen a lot of wins or a lot of losses? Or
I mean, that really comes down to people's strategy and how long they've been involved. So we've always recommended that people have at least 80% of their funds in one of our farms. So on BOMB, that would have pretty much been the BOMB and Bitcoin, pairing BOMB with Bitcoin. I mean, obviously with Bitcoin doing what it did price-wise, it's pretty hard for someone to be in the profit with Bitcoin dropping as much as it has. But I mean, I still think that I've had a lot of people say that the farm is keeping them even, so it's kind of making up for that whole Bitcoin decline, right? So their portfolio is worth the same money right now as it was, in January or whenever they got involved. So now they have just a much bigger bag for when Bitcoin turns around. So there's definitely other people that are building their bags, a lot of people. Whether they're in the profit, dollar value wise, it's, definitely on a case by case basis and depending on a lot of different things. But I mean, for sure, they have more assets now than they had before.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So with the market going up, and if you really have a good strategy with this, you're looking to make some money, I guess, right?
Oh, 100%.
Hey guys,
100%.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
All right, so let's say I don't know anything about this project, which I actually don't, because I was not in the AMA. I just joined a couple weeks ago. So if I'm coming, I'm looking at this project, or I'm trying to research it, figure out if I should invest or not. and I'm looking at the charts. So one is, how do you convince investors to invest when charts look, basically 90% drops? I haven't even looked at the charts, but I did see some, chatter about that. So let's say the chart drops 90% and then it doesn't really have like sign of recovery, for one. And second of all, let's say I don't know what you guys are even, how to make money. Like, and I want to ask, let's say, which is kind of, I've been doing in chat, about how, with the investors and PEG and DPEG and making money, have people generally been making money? Like, or is everyone like down? What is the consensus here with your community, with the investors? Because, the thing is, someone has to make money, right? For someone to lose money for once. And for someone to make money, someone has to lose money. And BSC, it's a zero-sum game. So my question is, who's the one in this project? Who's the one that's coming out on top? And since with the history of this project, who are the people, or what type of people are the ones who have been making the money?
I'd say anyone that's been farming for a long time is doing quite well. It's it's something where it's very difficult to be in, to have a positive looking chart when crypto is doing what it's been doing. And, we just had our worst quarter in a decade on Bitcoin, and the altcoins were even worse. So, it's very easy to have a downtrending chart, which, we do have on some of our tokens, understandably, with the markets. So, but yeah, no, anyone that's farming has been building their bags, though. I'd highly recommend, BOMB, or actually, let me get into another one, PegHub. We did a pre-sale on this for 6,000 units of the 10,000 total. And, anyone that got involved in this, same thing that we're doing with our bitBOMB migration, which I just had open here. We gave credit at 1.0 peg. So it didn't really matter what the current BOMB peg was when we did the PegHub pre-sale. We gave credit as if it was 1.0, and we did the price at 0.01 BTC per PegHub. So I think let me pull that up here. I don't have it in my favorites. So, right now people have almost doubled their money, and that's if they would have paid the full price for PegHub in the pre-sale. But realistically, people were getting BOMB for, half off, or, 30% off of the PEG price. So those people are, they're in heavy profits right now. And it's also something that I would recommend for anyone that doesn't want to have like an active role, or anyone that's just looking to passively make a lot of, or a lot of profit longer term. Just jump into PegHub, throw it in our, in our PHub Maxi here. And, we know that like the mechanics that we built around PegHub, we're going to be feeding a ton of revenue into PegHub, and it's all automatically used for buybacks. It happens like the second that it receives that revenue. So this is a token that will go up regardless of what anybody else does. People can sell it down. Buybacks will bring it right back up, right? So it's for anyone that just wants to, say, hey, if the BOMB ecosystem is doing well, I want to do well. Well, you know what? Just buy some PegHub, throw it in the PHub Maxi, and just, come back in a year, and this is going to be looking incredible. I mean, I even think next week is going to be looking incredible. But, this is it's a great approach for anyone that wants to have less risk.
How long is this project? Because you were saying how the market's going down, so it's hard to make money. Like, how long has this project or this token or the chart, how old is this? So
BOMB money has been around since November of last year. And we were doing, the reason that there's 1,000+ tomb forks right now is because of BOMB money and how well it was doing out of the gate, right? So definitely the markets haven't been going down the entire time that everything's been around. But, for example, the PegHub token, this has been around for like a month, I want to say. I think it shows it right here. Created 28 days ago. So PegHub is not even a month old, and people have already like tripled their money in this if they were in the pre-sale. But yeah, this is going to explode, along with, I think that everything that we're offering is going to explode when the markets turn around, or even prior to that. But as we launch more protocols and, we start getting revenue from different sources, these buybacks are going to get nutty in terms of how big they are. It all happens automatically too.
Yeah, how many holders do you have of PegHub right now?
It's not super high, just because most people have deposited like all of their funds into the PegHub Maxi, so it doesn't. Actually, I can't even click the direct link there, but let's see what it shows. PHub. There it is. So we have, so there's only 141 holders, but that's, again, it's because most people would have had like 100% of the funds, like not even like a small decimal of it would be in their wallet. It'd be all in the PegHub Maxi. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
All right. So also, when you were saying about farmers making money, right? So this is, are you talking about the one that launched in the last month or so, or since the one that launched since November? Is that, by the way, is that your token too?
Yeah, so like the BOMB ecosystem, or the PegHub ecosystem as we're calling it now, just because PegHub is kind of the governance token over everything. Yeah, I mean, they're all ran by the same, I developed them all and I deployed them. They're all managed by the same large team, but they all have their individual teams working on each project. But yeah, like CZ Pegs, like everything that you see at the BOMB farm site is all our own stuff. So that's going to be the BOMB money stuff, the CZ Peg stuff, and the PegHub stuff. That's all like, it's all in the BOMB money ecosystem.
So let me ask you a question. So you have two other tokens, right? And then they were leading up to this token. Is this token going to be leading to another token, or is this just all part of one big ecosystem?
They're all part of one big ecosystem, and we're going to be done launching tokens on BSC after bitBOMB for quite a while. But we are definitely going to aggressively expand onto other chains in the coming weeks.
And is that going to affect the price on this token? Is it going to benefit this token at all, or are you just going to?
I mean, we're going to. So we're going to be really careful to, select the right pegs, or, we're going to guide the community into voting on the right peg choices, essentially, so that we can basically have different target markets for different chains. So depending on what you want exposure to. So if you love Phantom, we're going to have the Phantom, protocol. If you love Avalanche or some of the, the different protocols on Avalanche, we're going to be pegging to a lot of the most popular choices there. So we're going to try to have all of our different launches on other protocols be very specific to that protocol. So for example, like we had some people that wanted us to peg to Ethereum on BSC, but I said, hey, well, we're going to be launching on Ethereum mainnet, in the near future. So let's peg to Ethereum on Ethereum. It makes more sense there. Same with Phantom, same with Avalanche. Let's peg to those native tokens on their own chain, in addition to pegging to a lot of other, not a lot, but 3 other, highly sought after tokens on those chains that people want exposure to. So that, there might be some overlap with bitBOMB, but it's something where we're going to be targeting specific exposure for each peg pair. So that's going to attempt to have separate investor groups for each one.
And are you going to do raises for each of these launches?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Are you going to do like a pre-sale or a raise for each of these launches, like a whole campaign for each one, or is it just going to be like you're going to release the next one, the next one?
We'll do big marketing pushes and campaigns for every single launch. We have, we don't want to, we're not going to be tight on budgets when it comes to these things. We need to raise awareness. When we launch in a new chain, that's going to be a huge thing. And, all the people that really enjoy that chain, they need to know about it, right? And they got to, they got to get that put in front of them so they can see what their options are now. So yeah, we'll definitely do a big marketing push for anything.
I mean, what I'm asking is, are you going to be raising money for each of these releases?
Oh, no. So we won't be raising money. What we'll do is we'll have a Genesis farm, which actually I can show you on CZ Pegs. It was over quite a while ago. It generally runs for 1 day. Actually with CZ Pegs, we had CZBUSD was done separately from the first 3. But I mean, this is typically what it would look like. You'd be able to just deposit any of these common assets, and we'll pick ones that are specific to the chain that we're launching on. And then you just park those funds there for a day. And that first day, you get a pretty decent APR, and it's how we seed that token out into public hands. Right. So, deposit Bitcoin here, and then you'd receive CZBUSD over that 1 day Genesis farm period. That's exactly how it'll work on all the other chains.
Yeah, cool. I just want to make sure, like you guys aren't just going to keep raising funds. And then, I mean, it's been done a lot, so it just sounds like.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. But yeah, no, we're not, we actually haven't raised funds with any of our Genesis. Well, actually, no, sorry, that's a lie. We have a very minimal deposit fee that we introduced with CZ Pegs. I believe it was 1%. So, to deposit to any of these, you are losing 1% right out of the gate, but the APRs were definitely high enough that you made that back a couple times over, if not more. So
Cool.
So yeah, it's not really much of a raise, but we do take in 1% of those Genesis deposits and use that to better the protocol. But we don't have Genesis farms with bitBOMB, so we're not going to have that same, 1% of the Genesis deposits. But that's fine.
Yeah, it's like a tax. Yeah.
Yep. Well, there's a lot being discussed in the general chat.
I have a question.
Go for it.
Yeah. Because you said before that basically the protocol will sell tokens to earn money, right?
Yeah.
But to sell, people has to buy. Otherwise, it would constantly go down, and at one point in the future, the liquidity pool could be drained, right? So
okay. So keep in mind. So what I mentioned is that when the tokens are healthily above peg, so they're enough above peg that a small sell is not going to impact anything at all. You're not going to see it on the charts. It's not going to change the peg hardly at all. So we'll be selling the protocol, the automation will be selling the peg tokens when they're above peg by a healthy amount, just to build the treasury up, just so that if one of the peg tokens is below peg and we want to be able to put some of those funds to work to bring it back up, we'll have all those funds available for us, right? So that's what the automation is going to do. And that's why it took us, a little while to develop that automation, because we have to be very careful about, how much we sell and when we decide to sell. Like by that, I mean the automation. So the automation is going to be running, continuously, but most often it's not going to do anything unless the conditions are right for a sell, and then it will do a small sell. Mm-hmm. And again, that's just to build the treasury, because, the worst thing that you don't want to be in a situation where, your tokens are not above peg and you didn't take the opportunity to kind of build some liquid crypto assets up while they were above peg, right? So we want to be able to take advantage, and when the price is higher than it needs to be because it's over peg, that's when the protocol is going to automatically, get some liquid assets by selling those peg tokens, just so that, those assets are available when it's, when they're needed.
Yes, but to peg the token, people has to buy it, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if the token's below peg, to get back above peg, people need to buy it. But our automation, as soon as something's below peg, the automation does not sell anything. Like, it needs to be above peg by a healthy amount, right? And it would sell such a small amount that you wouldn't really notice it on the charts. It wouldn't really impact the peg.
So you actually don't have any other source of income outside of selling?
What do you mean?
I mean, you don't sell, real things at some website shop to bring outside income to, buybacks, for example.
Pretty much like he's asking, is your only utility the selling of under peg?
So PegHub has outside revenue streams. That's all of our other protocols, but the protocols themselves, like they, just like most people that are farming, the token that they would most often be selling is the share token, right? The share token is what you get as a reward from the farms, right? So that's not hurting peg when you're selling that. So that is typically what people sell for generating, their own yield, right? So, I think we're confusing a couple different topics here. Like, one of them is the protocol using automation to safely sell some peg tokens to build up the treasury, and like how people earn yield by utilizing the protocol. That's a different topic altogether, right? I think we're kind of mixing those two things up a little bit. I think if there's other aspects of that question, or if you can reword it or something like that, then I'm happy to answer.
What I meant, but my question is, let's assume people stop buying the tokens, right? So they cannot be pegged again, basically, right? If people will start selling and no one is buying them, they cannot be pegged. So
yeah, I mean, I think any protocol is going to be in trouble if you only have sellers and you have no buyers, though.
yes, yeah, that's my question. Do you have outside source of income for buybacks, for example?
I mean, each individual protocol does not have any external revenue sources, but that's why we're going to do some of the things that I was talking about in order to build up the liquid assets in order to help Peg, right? So, I mean, this is kind of like a machine that's kind of meant to support itself, right? So when we're above Peg, the boardroom is paying you because the share tokens are producing tokens that are freshly minted here every 8 hours per particular Peg, or every 2 hours if you want to look at all of them combined. So, you know, when the boardrooms are printing, the share token is very desirable to buy it in order to put in the boardroom. And the share token being a higher value, it causes the farms to pay more, which puts more buy pressure on the tokens because now your reward is worth more. So the farm can facilitate more people farming. You can have more, you know, more funds can be in the farm and it can still maintain a high APR. Right. So it's kind of like a cycle like that, you know, at the moment is, you know, it's none of them are over pegged. So the cycle is temporarily broken, I guess you could say, but it's, you know, we got a couple of them that are really close here. And, you know, everything was way over peg when this launched. And, you know, I think market conditions are causing people to be a little bit afraid to enter at the moment. But, you know, I have no question in my mind that because of the mechanics that we have here and the tokenomics this will be thriving in no time.
So basically all this system will work as long as there is enough people like mixing in the system, right?
Yeah,
like
essentially. As long as there's an interest in farming our tokens, then everything will work fine. You know, it's.
What are you making like simulations? How many people do you actually need to sustain the project?
Yeah, I'd like to answer that. So at the moment, like over probably the past 2 or 3 weeks, I don't think that the TVL's been particularly growing. If anything, it's been coming down mostly, I think, due to macro market conditions. Because our pet, you know, if Bitcoin, or well, let's say CZPegs, if BNB drops 30%, then CZBNB drops with that because the only liquidity pair that it's going through is the native token. So what I was going to say is we have a lot of LP tokens are in the BOMB.farm. So this is like basically the non-working, you know, like you don't want to be clicking and manually compounding. You would choose the auto compounder. So what this does is it sells the share tokens. I think it's every 2 hours. It sells the share tokens and it buys more. Well, it creates more of the LP tokens. So your pegged assets will increase, and it will automatically sell shares. So when you look at the charts, if we go under peg, basically selling ceases because people realize that it's not in their beneficial financially to be selling and losing 25%. So even without external people buying, the auto compounding, you will see a steady climb towards peg on the charts. And you can go on Deck Screener and you can look at it. It's like it depends which one you're on at the moment. I think, like say BNB, it might be like $15, $20 every 2 hours is getting bought of those peg tokens. So they will, I mean, as long as the people don't remove the LP tokens from the farm, the auto compounding farm, they will naturally repeg, and they will go above peg and then start expanding the supply. So yeah, definitely, I'm a chart guy. Like, pull up the Deck Screener charts and have a play around with the different ways you can sort of horizontal lines for different levels of peg are really important because the expansion rate will change depending how far above peg you are. So I like to have those levels sort of to be able to see where we might print. I mean, it is a complex game, but I mean, you play a simple game for long enough, it gets boring, doesn't it? So
And we have a lot of, we have a lot of people in the community, and we have a big team that, is active in all of our socials and, in Discord, Telegram, and, very willing to help people with strategy or, how to get started, or, even the most basic of questions we will help people with, because, we're here to help. We, no question is stupid. Come talk to us and we'll be happy to help you.
Pretty much all of us, we live and breathe these protocols. Like, hit us up. We're probably just stoked to have someone that's interested to learn. So yeah, definitely reach out. I love talking strategy, so cool.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, we're going on a little over, like almost at 2 hours. You guys let's get a couple more questions from the audience here, if we have them.
Yes, I have another one.
Sure, go ahead.
Do you print tokens like it's unlimited printing, or you have like total amount of tokens that you can print?
Yeah, so I'll take that one. So the share tokens are limited. They have, there's a 2-year runway where they will be emitted from our farms for the next 2 years. That applies to both CZ Pegs from its launch date about 2 months ago, I want to say, or actually I could find out right now. Yeah, almost 2 months ago. And bitBOMB is, launching in the next 2 days, and that's going to have a 2-year runway as well. So, they're not going to be minted. They're pre-minted at the beginning, but they get distributed over 2 years. And the PEG tokens work very differently from that. The PEG tokens will print forever as long as they're over PEG, and they won't print at all if they're below PEG. So the PEG tokens, which is like, in this case, it's CZBNB, CZBOMB, CZEMP, CZBUSD. These will always be printing if they're over PEG, and they will never print below PEG. So it's strictly based on the pricing that determines if we're printing or if we're not.
Do they burn if it's under PEG?
Yep, they do. So any kind of sell will burn 15% of the transaction, and it taxes 10%. So there are definitely a lot of burns going on when people decide to sell. Actually, those are some stats. We could definitely add those stats to the site to show like total burn tokens and, stuff like that. That'd probably be pretty cool to show.
Okay, it was a pleasure to have you here, guys. So it's time now for your final statement, and it will be much helpful if you can make a video tutorial or something to explain how the protocol work and how all other protocols work and how it will work even in the future, because it seems very complicated. So yeah, I will leave you now for a final statement, and let's close it.
All right, guys. Well, first I wanted to thank you guys for hosting us and having us here. It's been a pleasure. And I'm really excited for the bitBOMB launch. It's our token swap is coming up in 18 hours. And also I appreciate what you said about having a video. I agree strongly that we need to kind of have this so that people can see exactly how to interact with it and exactly how to get started. Just explain everything. So very good advice there, and we will take you up on that, and we will get that stuff done. But yeah, it's bitBOMB is going to be it's the next evolution of BOMB. It's going to be huge, and I'm excited for this to get started and to see you guys over there.
Okay,
yeah,
anyone
I just want to say thanks. Some really good questions. Kind of made me realize how different it is for someone stepping into the project with absolutely no knowledge of these. And we could definitely work on some videos. I think it's a fantastic idea, and I want to thank you for making that so clear to us. It's actually really good. And yeah, great AMA. Thanks a lot. Thanks to all the listeners. And yeah, I'm going to shoot off.
Yeah, you guys should definitely do like a weekly workshop too in your group. I think that would help a lot.
Yes, so we actually do have. Sorry, go ahead.
CZ Pegs, we're doing weekdays. We're doing a daily sort of community discussion VC in the Telegram. And it's pretty informal, like, place for people to ask questions, catch up, see what's going on, discuss strategies, anything, you know. And so it's a pretty open space. So that seems to be working pretty well. There was a couple of days where we had some hectic stuff, so one or two has been missed, but we're gonna make sure that our mods can share the responsibility of keeping that each day at some consistent times, so people know when to rock up. So yeah.
And just to add to that, like, you know, I do an AMA every Wednesday at noon Eastern time, or 4 p.m. UTC. So that's on our YouTube channel. It's BOMB Money YouTube channel, and as well on Fridays we have a Twitter space. So we do things like that on a weekly basis. But yeah, you know, we're trying to interact with the community and teach and, you know, show how everything works as often as we can and keep the whole community in the loop.
Sweet.
All right, guys. Well, thanks again. I've got to jump into a meeting with the team actually right now. But yeah, it was great being here.
Yeah,
Thank you guys for being here.
Guys. Thank you for coming.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Thanks, everyone, for listening.
Thank you. Boria.
Hey,
We're
you gotta
have-
end the recording. Who's recording?
Stop recording.